Welcome to Where Is My Mind, a podcast where we talk fascinating films while praying for the heat death of the universe. I'm a little tentacle guy, Parker.
And I've spent too many hours practicing Falco's dance moves in the Der Kommissar video that I'm willing to admit, Ryan. So today we're talking about a Doctor Who series called The Seeds of Doom. Eventually, Tom Baker was going to show up. Uh, and we get Tony Beckley also,
Hmm.
which is the extra, and Liz Sladen as Sarah Jane. And this is the most violent Doctor Who. I mean, it's 1976.
I'm not familiar, I am not acquainted with Doctor Who lore, so this was very interesting watch. But it's like also like television from the 70s, so it wasn't like it was a fun watch for me and my roommate.
Because the stories don't always have anything to do with each other, and this one
Hmm.
very specifically is completely that way. It's a total one-off.
Okay.
It caught a lot of flack because the Doctor is he's beating a lot of asses in
I
this,
was gonna
and
say,
yeah, like it's this is the least appropriate for children to watch in the afternoon, and I think it scared people. Tony
dude, it's
Beckley
fucking
as Harrison
ooh,
Chase is
very unsettling, very strange. A
there
lot of
is a
body horror
ton.
that I just wasn't expecting. I was like, "Alright," I read it and I was like, "Alright, plant stuff. Great. I
Big
didn't
time.
expect us to do this."
It had a budget that a lot of Doctor Who didn't have. So this was on the tail end of like a lot of successful years. So they were finally getting really great locations to shoot and
Mm.
larger budgets for effects. There's moments where it's absolutely cheesy. But
Oh,
then
yeah.
we start off with some researchers in Antarctica that appear to find this pod like kind of green pod in the snow, which I described as looking like Hawaiian pork lau lau, which is a delicious salty pork wrapped in banana leaves. When we get introduced to the researchers, the first thing you notice is the beards. They are the worst false
Shit,
beards
you're right,
you've
yeah.
ever seen. I mean, they're atrocious, and it makes it
So bad.
all the better.
Yeah, wolf, not oh, man, it's
Yeah,
just the sort of
so
thing that makes me go, "Ugh, man."
yeah, they're debating over if the pod's alive, and
We'll find out the answer to
oh
that
yeah,
shortly.
yeah, because everything's like pretty, pretty kind of innocent to start off. And they send off images to London to try to figure out what the hell this thing is, and then it cuts to detective. His name is Detective Dunbar, but they almost always say Dunbar. There's a space between the Dun and the bar, and
Like
it's
a
I don't know if it's
like a hyphen.
like a hyphen. Yeah,
I
yeah, and it makes
mean,
it that much more fun every time you hear his name. They've sent these I don't know why the police are involved so early, but instantly the
well, it's a
researchers
little
are
early to be here, but it's a strange looking man.
yeah, Tom
I
Baker
was like,
is absolutely iconic with the big crazy hair, and he has the scarf that's pretty notable.
this strange looking fucker
He is.
who's like
Yeah,
apparently an expert.
he's sort of scary sometimes. I mean,
He's
everybody
intense,
knows how
yeah.
lovable he is. He's still alive. His
Good for him.
audiobook about his life story is crazy as hell. I highly recommend that. But kind of
Alright.
a side note. The doctor's like, this is probably from outer space. And he's like, when's the last time vegetation was even on Antarctica? So he's basically saying it's like this is a time bomb. So we're going in right here
We have to do this. We have to do it.
with this storyline. It's so many quips and like little short Doctor Whoisms that he constantly says that makes it pretty fun.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's just like, got my toothbrush. Remember, no touch pod could be dangerous. Dunbar, he contacts his boss, which is his name is Sir Colin Thackeray, but mostly they just call him Sir Colin. And he's just like, is this dude crazy? Pod's continuing to grow over basically over breakfast for the researchers. And so Dunbar, naturally, like after he talks to his boss, he calls this eccentric millionaire.
Of course you do, because that's the right thing to do in this sort of situation is call this rich dude and see what his advice is, because I'm sure whatever he's gonna
Yeah,
do is gonna be fucking great.
I mean, he's obviously like on the take kind of
He's
component.
into it.
So he wants that money. Go get it. Get that side hustle. So so we meet Tony Beckley as Harrison Chase, and he immediately he's got black gloves on. He's very well
Oh, yeah.
dressed, kind of like
You know he's
demure.
bad news.
He's bad news. And he's like, "What is your agency doing about bonsai?" It's like Dunbar is yeah, kind of taken aback because now Chase is just berating him about the practice of bonsai, which he perceives as like a brutalization of plants and harm and like a disgusting practice, which is weird because I don't think generally.
Smile and nod. When someone goes on a tangent like that, that's all you can do. Is just smile and nod.
Yeah. I mean, in a briefcase full of cash
Yeah,
is kind of where Dunbar's like, as long as I'm getting paid, you could be as weird
exactly.
with the plants as you want to, man. So,
Mhm.
I mean, and that's Chase's whole thing is to like his mission in life is to protect plant life because he's
He likes plants. Let's just put it that
and
way.
and Dunbar's like, I have something special for you. I'm going to sell you the good stuff. You want
Yeah.
this rare? It's like ivory, basically, to Chase.
Yeah, it's
He's
like this
he's
rare thing and I found.
probably highly illegal, and Chase is like, hybrid plants, it's a crime against nature. It's the worst thing you could ever do. And so that's kind of his take initially. And Dunbar's like, no, no, this is a whole different thing.
This is
This
different.
is this pod could disappear for a price. And then he just gives Chase the coordinates to where the pod is located at. Some point it's like, dude, you just changed it from like extortion to a finder's fee. You completely undersold your potential earning. Hey, small quibble. Harrison Chase also has like a heavy that works for him. He's basically just kind of a goon of sorts named Scorby, played by John Chalice, who does a fantastic job of it's like really dark, kind of goatee, oafish looking guy that's
Yes.
pure mercenary. Scorby's like he doesn't care how the money gets made. He's so Chase is basically telling him, you and Keeler is a research scientist that Chase tells Scorby and Keeler, go down and get that pod. And the next thing we know, they start looking at the pod, the research scientists, and it opens up. It goes all alien. The tentacles come flying out,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Charles, one of the scientists, is attacked immediately. As soon as it's attacking him, when they go to basically to render some aid to the guy, he's already half green face. So
Already
he's
fucked.
like,
Already
oh
fucked.
yeah, yeah, which I
Like,
like.
it's
I
like,
like a
no,
good
I think at one point they suggest, like, "Well, why don't we cut off his arm because 'cause it'll stop the infection?" And I'm like, "Guys, I think this guy's a little too far gone."
yeah, because the doctor and Sarah, they arrive and take his temp and everything and his pulse, and he's just like, he should be dead.
That
This
man
is
should be dead in a ditch.
now he's just covered. The entire body is covered with the green.
It's brutal. I mean, it is a little jarring for
And he starts giving
me.
crap to the other research scientists of what you did could result in the destruction of all life on this planet. So,
God!
so the doctor goes like super heavy. You've
We're
ruined the whole
15
world.
minutes in, and we're already suggesting that the world could end
Is doomed.
because of
Yeah.
plants.
The doctor and Sarah, they end up going to let's go dig for more pods because apparently they travel
Let's find
from
out. Let's see if there's more.
there's more. They travel in pairs, apparently.
Yes. That's
So
so specific. Why pears?
I don't know. I really thought like if anything, like maybe threes, but whatever.
Why
So
any number? Like, why, like, specifically?
oh yeah.
Like, why
I
couldn't
mean,
it just be, like, an entire, like, a whole colony was dropped off? But no, it has to be twos.
hmm and they look at his blood and they're like, we found schizophytes, plant bacteria. And they basically they were like, his blood's turning into vegetable soup. And so that's
Gross.
where we're at.
Gross.
You get some planes arriving, and he's already halfway to becoming what is referred to then as a crinoid, which is more like the plant has taken over the
The plant
body
monster.
and plant
The plant
monster,
the goopy plant monster.
galactic weeds, man. That's what they are. Hey, on crinoid planets, the plants eat the animals instead of the other way around.
That's one thing they can just outright say, and I'm like, "Well,
Love
this
it.
is oh my god, this is so I'm like, "This is so heavy."
And they're gonna lop that arm off initially because they tap like
They're like
Derek.
yeah, they're like, "Let's just fucking cut off his
They're
arm."
yeah, and they
I mean, then they
basically
try
peer
to.
pressure. They peer pressure Derek to basically to agree to doing it, and he doesn't want to. So everybody
Whatever
bounces.
logic, and they convince him to start just, getting ready. The plant monster gets up and attacks him.
Yeah, crinoid number 1.
The plant
Sort
monster.
of.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
call it
plant
the plant
monster.
mon
Yeah.
the plant
S
monster.
It gets up and then it strangles the hell out of Derek, who's gonna be doing the surgery. So we have our first, first
Just attacking you.
casualty. So Scorby, he's like cleaning his weapons and he's getting ready because he's like, "Hey, we're going on a trip."
We're gonna
And
fucking do this.
Keeler is like, he already doesn't really want to go. He's like, heart's not into this. He just wants to do his science. And be left alone, which is totally
That's
reasonable.
so real. I get
Yeah,
it.
but it's like Scorby's like, we're gonna have to take hostages to get the pod here, so this is gonna go
We're in the
sideways.
Antarctic. You could kill someone, it would be fine.
It's a crazy place. Like people that work there, as far as
You
yeah,
could literally just lock them out of the thing and you'd be fine.
it's a weird thing for somebody to tell you that they're either going to work there or if they have worked there. And like I've known firefighters that have worked there, and that's a really
What the fuck?
strange. Fire is one of the biggest concerns as far as
Yeah,
research
I'm
lab,
sure.
obviously, you know. But it
Yeah.
just when you hear it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you're
Yeah, that
yeah
doesn't make sense now, and I'm sure it won't make sense later, so
no, it's a good gig.
no.
It's good work if you can
I'm
find it.
sure it is. I'm sure I hope it pays well.
Oh yeah,
It's one of those I'm like, I really hope that pays well because holy shit, that's weird.
Sarah finds Derek dead and Winlet or Charles is gone, so he's on the loose. Now he's a grotesque parody of the human form. Dunbar basically gives the information back to Mr. Chase saying the infection, it's broken out. So we
Yeah.
got a real problem here
We got
because
there's an
we're
issue
trying,
here, guys.
and he doesn't want to hear any of it,
No, of course not.
naturally. Chase basically shows Dunbar the briefcase of cash, and he's like,
Mm,
you want that
yeah.
money? I want that
Nah.
pod.
Get the fucking pod, you dork.
He really does hate people a lot, and it will,
That's so real.
you
You're just
know,
like, "Please stop immediately," and I'm like, "No, I understand where he's coming from."
it's some relatable stuff sometimes,
It's
you know.
I mean, like, maybe not it's like Poison Ivy from, the comics, but, like, worse.
Hmm.
Not as sexy.
Scorpion ends up holding him at gunpoint, the doctor and Sarah both. And
Yeah, Doctor Who, this dorky looking man who hasn't worn a coat this entire series, and then this woman, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, let's hold them at gunpoint." That seems logical.
I mean, he yells at them saying, you know, tell me something. And the doctor just responds, Mozart had perfect pitch.
Ah!
And it's just like,
Yes, he did.
then there are some like ugh level dad jokery kind of stuff
Just
that,
like,
you
ugh,
know,
of course, that's how you
it's
I mean, yeah, no.
awkward.
I mean, that's how I would
Yeah.
respond if I was held hostage, to be fair.
Yeah. And I mean, and the doctor is like super candid. So I do kind of enjoy
He
that
is,
because,
yeah.
yeah, because Scorby's like, what happened to him? And he's like, oh, he died. It's just casual. It's not,
He
yeah.
fucking
He's like,
died.
and he's asking about in reference to all this stuff. He's like, "Yeah, you can say he's not quite himself." So it's like the interrogation stuff is not going great. Scorby's not
Mhm.
exactly eloquent to figure out where's the pod. And the doctor and Sarah both in tandem say it grew in the garden that's next to the house that Jack built.
Yes, it
It's
is.
it's like, all right, fine. Could we just move this along? He's like, God
Keep
damn
going,
it.
keep it moving, keep it
Yeah,
moving. The
yeah.
writers had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
So I
god.
mean, John comes in, one of the scientists, and so he's got a rifle, and he's trying to shoot Scorby, and that's he pulled the bullets. It's obviously it's a blunder kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he takes off to Scorby at gunpoint is like, take me to the freezer where that second pod's at. So he naturally does. And then Keeler, who looks like a pacifist, honestly, this is violence is not his first instinct of any kind. And they're just like, the doctor and Sarah know this is awkward for him, and they're just like, "You're all right, you know, you're all right by us. Like, we're not going to hurt you," kind
Yeah.
of thing. You know, the doctor's trying to like make the best of the situation. You don't like
Yeah.
violence, and then he guesses that he's a botanist naturally, so that kind of
Wow.
tracks.
Yeah. No,
But
everyone who likes plants just doesn't like violence. That
and
tracks.
and Scorby comes back and just takes Sarah. Like we don't
Yeah.
really have
Just
any,
takes her. Just
just
kidnaps her.
her. Yeah, and the doctor's pissed. He's furious, like
Of
screaming and
course.
stuff. Him and John are basically like, I mean, they're tied up at this point, and they're like, okay, well, if we break some glass, we can use the shards to untie ourselves and so on. Which you know, yeah, it's
That's how
fine.
that works here. Science.
Science, yeah,
That's what this
yeah.
entire episode is. Just science.
I mean, it's a little pseudoscience, but it's so plant
It's just fun.
vegetation. It's fun. It's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they've set up a bomb. They don't really explain like the full process of this location where then there's a bomb set up basically with Sarah tied up in the building. But needless to say, they get to her, she escapes, and the bomb goes off and it just kills the crinoid. It's done. So
Yeah.
humanity is saved.
Yeah.
But then, of course, not really, because Scorby and Keeler
No.
show up with the pod for
Chase.
Miss for Chase. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because we have to start shit somewhere in, like, not Antarctica.
correct.
Imagine
We
if this
need
whole thing just took place in Antarctica. That'd be
to.
fun.
It would be okay. I mean, you could probably do it, but I don't. I love this mansion and like all the exterior shots because Doctor Who didn't always have. It had a lot of like circular
They are.
hallways. Let's just be honest. Like
Yeah,
there's
like, the
sets.
sets, I was like, "God, for British, this is pretty nice."
Yeah, it feels
Very
swanky.
saturated. The camera is very saturated.
Hmm.
I did notice that, but, like, yeah, no, it's pretty fun.
And I mean, Scorby's like telling Chase, don't touch the pod. It already turned one guy into a monster, basically. And
Fucked up one guy
Chase
going,
is just pissed. He's like, "So you're telling me I could have had two pods?" It's not the
a
dead
man
guy.
of
It's
opportunity.
the yeah, yeah. I could have had two of these
I don't know, dude, I wouldn't
anyway.
want the plant monster roaming around my plane when I'm trying to fly back home.
And exactly. It's
They
not a
never
good
s
look.
oh, shit, I just realized they say, like, what kinda time frame this takes place over? Because, like, I don't know, dude,
No,
London
no, I
to,
don't think so.
Antarctica is a pretty long ways away.
Yeah, it kind of just it zips
Just
around.
just
The
happens.
TARDIS moves. It's one of
It
those
just
sort of
happens.
deal. So and Dunbar gets introduced to Scorby and Keeler. Like, I don't really know why. Like, if you were just going to be taking the money from that guy, I mean, Chase really wouldn't let you hang around. But for whatever reason, Scorby and Keeler know he's in on the leak of information, resulting in Chase getting the pod. And Dunbar's like, the Doctor and Sarah, they're alive. They didn't get blown
Yeah,
up,
they're fine.
so that's a problem because
They know.
yeah, they know.
They
They know
know.
too much.
Yes.
So they return to meet with Sir Colin Thackeray. Basically, it's inferred that, I mean, they're inferring like this is an inside job. Nobody else knew all the goings on here. Yeah, these are dangerous stooges that are working for a complete madman.
Well, that's just every day.
Sir Colin's basically just, well, why would they do that? And the doctor's like, oh, well, it's for money. Hired thieves and murderers don't usually work for love. If we don't find this pod, it'll be the destruction of everything, even your
Yeah, it
pension.
it just so
I love
quickly
that.
escalates.
It does. Yeah.
So
He's like, your
quickly
pension's going to be
escalates.
ruined.
It was,
And
"We're
he's,
all gonna fucking die.
yeah, yeah.
We're all gonna die." And
So
it's
they're
like,
kind of off to like go to like a botanical institute to, I guess get more information. So they walk out of the police station and there's just a taxi waiting there for them. And yeah, they just hop on in. It's a little bit of a stretch there, but the driver holds him at gunpoint like
"Yep,
immediately. And he's just
yep."
like, "You're I'm gonna execute you guys in the middle of a field." And that's gonna be the end of this because
I forget how crazy serials can be, I really do.
yeah, they get a little they get
I've never watched a television or a movie serial, but I guess, like, my one experience would be the Reanimator short stories from
mhm,
Lovecraft, and almost all of those end on, like, some cheesy twist ending.
mhm.
You know? And I forgot that, like, that's how serials end, so every time one of these episodes would end, it would be like it would, like, have, like, something fucking crazy happen at the end. It would be like,
Yes.
"What the fuck?"
It's that
And,
tune
like
in next time,
yeah, I, like,
moment.
totally forgot.
I mean, and the doctor is like, once they get out of the car and so on, the doctor just starts beating the hell out of the cabbie. And that's
It's like,
something
"What
like
the fuck?"
Doctor Who doesn't usually do that. He's like,
No!
will
He doesn't
outfox
look like a
them.
guy who would do that, no.
Yeah, he just goes like mobs the dude. And so then he's all covered. The cabbie's on the ground, all covered in mud, and like shooting
Yeah.
at them as they're running away.
Yeah,
And
I
then they
was so
just
confused during this. I was like, "This is where this is where the thing lost me. I don't know what's going on." But, like, okay. I think I took note that, like, one guy's, like, entire, like, half of his body was just covered suit is covered in mud, and I was like, "Alright, so
well,
he
and
got fucked
instead
up."
of escaping, they stand like on these platforms and they lure him down a
Mhm.
hillside. And Sarah's like, "Hey, stupid! Hey, numbnuts, get over here!" Kind of banter. And then the doctor like throws a rock, and then he gets down on the ground. He starts beating that ass again, and he's like punching him in the face. And it's so rare. It's like rare Doctor Who violence. I'm here for it. I'm into that. Sarah, like, she goes back to check the trunk of the cabbie. Obviously, they're going to steal his car and So we have the painting by Amelia Dukas, the world-leading flower artist. Cuts to the doctor and Sarah looking her up and meeting with her, and she's like the quirkiest, like most wonderful, cute old lady that's like smoking and chatting with them and
Mhm.
explaining, they're trying to figure out who bought this painting. We found this, and obviously it's something you created. The painting is titled Common Snake's Head Fertility. And
Yum.
she's like, yeah, right. I sold that to Harrison Chase, and he never paid me for it. So we already have like cheapskate villain going on here.
He's a millionaire, but he won't pay for simple things.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's a thing. So Chase orders Keeler to like inject the pod with nitrogen. Let's speed this up. We need to get a move on, get this thing hatched. Which
Okay. Dude,
yeah, and
plants
then
aren't my thing. I love
no,
biology, plants aren't my thing.
and Dunbar calls Chase, and he's like, "Your cabbie's in the hospital, dude. Not
He got
good."
fucked up. He got fucked up by the doctor.
He did, yeah. He's like, he got beat pretty good. Yeah. So anyway, the doctor and Sarah they arrive at Chase's mansion, and basically the guards find them like fairly quickly, and they just start like shooting at them as they're running away. And then Scorby finds them. More guards arrive, and it's like, okay, well, at this point, you're going to be meeting Mr. Chase, so we're taking you
Yeah,
to him.
we're this far. We might as well.
And Chase is like, the meddling doctor, you lead a charmed life, not even a touch of frostbite.
Is
It's
this
like,
Scooby Doo or some shit?
yes, yeah, it has that. It's
That's
like,
what this begins to feel like. It's like, is
yeah,
this like some fucked like some Scooby Doo meets Lovecraft?
absolutely. It has those
Um,
elements, which is, when people use Scooby Doo, it's like that can be in the negative, but in this case,
no, it
oh,
works.
oh, it's
No, it works.
perfect. And the doctor's like, "Have you met Mrs. Smith? She's my best friend." Like he has these moments where it's like this little bit of like glee of him just innocently hand over the pod.
I find all that sort of thing really funny because I looked in Tom Baker's like letterbox credits and the Canterbury Tales from Pasolini's in it.
Yeah.
So he's apparently has a small role in that, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
He's a strange one that he had a strong amount of films to his credit
Yeah,
before
definitely.
doing Doctor Who, and then I mean he played the
That's
role
what most of his
for.
credits are is Doctor Who.
It's like nobody's
Yeah.
that successful in the role. Honestly,
Mm,
it's like 3 years, 5 years
mhm,
maybe.
right.
So he really kind of bucked that trend, and he knew his worth as well. So
Being in one of the Pasolini trilogy of life films.
I mean,
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. I have yet to watch all 3, so I don't.
Life goals. You'll
Yeah,
get
I
there.
don't get to judge. I'm in no place to judge. Good for him.
And like Sarah Jane, she gets like some snark dialogue too, because she's like, I've heard of
Yes.
flower power, but this is ridiculous. So her kind of
It
like
is.
her swipes at Chase are they're fun,
Yes.
So, and this pod's like growing, and it's not great. And the butler arrives with coffee, and Keeler's like, this is getting bigger and worse.
This is bad.
Um,
This is gross looking.
this next sequence is like by far one of my favorites because Chase is like, I'm gonna execute you guys, but before I do, I'm gonna play you some of my synthesizer music
I was gonna say,
for
I was like,
for
I
for the
was
enjoyment
this
of
is where I put
plants.
it. I was like, I think I know why Ryan likes this.
Oh my, yeah,
It is.
I was very happy
Oh,
about this because again, if you pay for a ticket and you go to like atonal drone synth concerts, hey, or sound baths as sometimes they're referred to, hey, that's on you. You bought that ticket. But this is against people's will.
this is
Chase
like
is
torture. This is a
he
special form of oral torture.
it is. Yeah.
AU, not oral, as in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, Mr. Chase is DJing like the drone synths, and I was calling it plant core because I thought that was it's like
Shut the fuck up
I'm
right
just
now.
so the hymn of the plants is like I think kind of what
The
he's yeah, because that's what he calls it. He's like, this is the hymn of the plants. Because he's like, I believe they also like music. And the doctor's like, this music is terrible.
It
which is
is,
hurtful, but
but
it's
it is.
true. It's accurate.
It's
I mean,
painfully true. I don't know. It's not worth living in denial.
no. I mean, he goes for
No.
a second song though. He's like, "Now I'm gonna play my Floriana Requiem dedicated to Linnaeus," and it's just tons of organ and filter sweeps. And then he says like the line that it just like sends me is he literally says, he goes, "I could play all day in my green cathedral." And I'm like, that's it.
This makes me so mad.
that's what I needed to hear.
It just makes me so mad for no reason.
So Hargreaves, the butler, he interrupts. Basically, he interrupts the whole concert that Chase is putting on. So his DJ set of plant music is completely ruined. Um,
Yeah.
but he's like, yeah, there's problems. Outside, the doctor knocks the gun out of Scorby's hand, and then
Mhm.
more Doctor Who violence. He like twists, he takes Scorby's head and neck and just wrenches it. More or less, he should be like grievously injured by the amount of
Yeah.
what they're showing, but for the sake of the plot, we need him to live. Yeah, so they jump a wall and so forth. And then we just kind of cut to like Sarah being recaptured. So we're like, okay, now another hostage component here. And the
Yep.
doctor is like staring. He gets up onto the roof and he's staring down from a skylight. He's the weirdest sort of peeping strangeness going on here. And they're basically going to let the crinoid loose and they're going to hold Sarah's arm down and secure her so that when the pod opens up, thus person to experiment on.
Yeah, because of course, we have to hold we have to hold a woman hostage at some point.
Doctor jumps through the glass window, and then what does he do?
I
Start.
I was so like
There's just a lot of what the hells. Like you don't think
I
they're
was
actually
like,
going to do it, but they do.
"The fuck?" Yeah,
And he,
he's watching this and he's like he just jumps through and I was like, it's a moment it definitely gets your attention. You're like, "What the fuck?"
yeah, he starts punching Scorby in the stomach and everything. Grabs the gun. Chase is like, "What do you do for an encore, doctor?" And he's just like, "Oh, I win." So
I
the
win.
doctor's like, yeah, the doctor's pretty fiery at this point.
He's pretty yeah, pretty he's on top of it, that's for sure.
And we get the first moment where he's like, "I'm surrounded by, why am I always surrounded by idiots?" And this is like a line that comes up, you know,
That's like a classic villain line, like,
it
I know
is.
you are not familiar with, Disney or anything like that, but that's, like, one of the most that's, like, for to me, that's, like I hear that sort of line, I always think of Scar from The Lion King, where he's just like, "Why am I always surrounded by idiots?" But
It's
that's,
a
like
harken back to like old Hollywood almost, and probably old
yeah.
cartoons, I would think too, is pod opens up and of course it gets Keeler's arm. It doesn't get Sarah's. They're basically like, we're getting the hell out of here. The doctor stashes Sarah, like again, not taking her with him, but like has her hide in like an underpass of sorts. This kind of odd location. And
Mhm.
Keeler's a mess. He's like, "Get me to the
Yeah.
hospital. You can't be doing this. I'm going to die," on and on. Chase and the butler basically are just like, "No, no, we think like it's best you just stay here," and so on. Guards are off to get the doctor. And
Mhm.
the doctor comes back into the house to then like try to examine what's going on with the pod and everything. This time, like Scorby's back with an assault rifle. So it's even like he's up the game now.
Yeah, he's just he's ready.
Basically the doctor's like, "You're working for a madman," and Scorby
No
says
shit.
he pays well, and the doctor goes, and Scorby says, "When it comes to money, we're of the same religion." And then and then the doctor's like, "Franklin Adams, 1881 to 1960, American humorist." It's like this is such detail of I mean,
Hey,
why, yeah, right?
why?
There's a lot of the why there. Scorby just starts like just beating the hell out of the doctor and then throws him into trash cans for no reason other than he's just annoyed. He's just like,
Yeah.
"You pissed me off. You foiled me a couple of times here." So there's this like bladed grinding machine kind of thing that they're basically saying we're going to load anything into for compost. And it's like whatever you take out of the soils, what you put back is what you take out. And it's like this is how we're going to fertilize Mr. Chase's plants and on and on. So obviously, doctor like in a degree of
Yeah.
peril here.
Yes.
So Amelia Dukas shows up to collect, which I was like, "Get that money, girl." It's like, "Chase, you better pay
Slay.
up." Yeah.
Slay. She's great.
I,
She's a highlight of this for sure.
if you don't pay me, we're getting lawyers involved, kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
she's really like
she means
insistent.
business.
She means business. Chase again is sort of like in that I don't know, the whole "why am I surrounded by idiots" sort of stuff. Amelia's loving his
Very
plant collection.
loves his plants.
Yeah, yeah.
So it, this whole thing just felt like a fever dream, and I was paying attention for once.
Well,
So
she wants the tour. She's basically like, "I'm here, see, you were late, you never paid me, I get a tour out of this," you
like,
know?
you owe me some things. Yeah, it's just all sorts of crazy.
And they're feeding Keeler, so that's what's even, like, another bizarre thing is, like, they're feeding the problem, and they're just like, "He's gonna get a crazy appetite, so you better bring him the snack plate." Meats and cheeses or whatever else it might be.
Give
I
him
don't really know.
Cheez-Its.
Cold cuts. Yeah, yeah,
Give him Cheez-Its.
a lot of Cheez-Its, man. He pawns, Amelia off on Scorby to do the house tour. Yeah, it's not good. And so Sarah ends up seeing Amelia and basically, whispers to her like, "Hey, you got to tell Sir Colin like we're trapped in here. Everything
Yeah.
is not good." Chase is ready to load the doctor in, end him in this grinder thing. Blood and bone contain the most valuable nitrogen. So after shedding your remains, you're going to pass through my compost chamber and
Yeah,
you're going to
he
get
goes
it.
into, like, great detail about what this
Yeah,
thing
he's loving
does.
it.
He's excited. I mean, I was like, "God, Chase is such an eccentric villain." He
And I
really is.
wonder if I really feel like there's a chance that Tony had some input on
Yeah,
this
I think so as
because
well.
these lines they're so fitting to his character
Yeah.
that I don't know. It felt a little more kind of personal because he's like, "You're gonna get pumped into nature's great design," and
Yeah,
it's
oh
just
my
like him
god, you
delivering some evil stuff.
oh
For
my god, this is some Udo Kier villain shit.
it's yeah,
I
it's
had
a
to
little
bring it up.
much.
That's what I thought. I was like, "I'm really too hyper focused on this."
So they
Yeah,
all
but
show. So it's like Sir Colin and so forth, and Sarah and whatnot. They show up back at Chase's castle, and Dunbar's like, "They know me already. I've made a terrible mistake," which is not inaccurate. Both things are true. Yeah. So he's like, "Give me 30 minutes. I'll fix this," which is
mhm,
just obviously a stretch. So now Keeler has gone like full crinoid. He has tentacled arms. The butler bounces. Grinding machines moving. Sarah
mhm.
Jane jumps in, saves the day kind of thing. After she speeds the machine up, she slows it down naturally and then gets the doctor out. And Chase is just like gone. He's really gone off the deep end beyond any kind of like human hope.
It's like, "Oh, you're not one of us. You're not rooting for the same thing we are."
No. And Dunbar tries to
Mm.
like shoot the crinoid and everything, and as he's like running away panicked, and he's
God, that
tripped up like
crinoid
in the
fucking thing
underbrush.
that crinoid thing looks so creepy.
It's scary. Like it's just a
Scary,
man in
yeah.
like this odd suit. Now they painted or they sprayed the suit, I think, gray for a totally different episode series kind of thing. So it kind of lingered on. But I was shocked. There's like action figure stuff of the crinoid
No,
and other stuff, and
seriously?
they didn't make a
Oh,
Harrison Chase. I would have loved that, but
I would
you know,
I would I would buy that.
that'd be kind of fun.
I would buy
Uh,
that. But yeah, no, it's like I feel like I've seen something similar. I think as a kid I saw because I never was able to get into Doctor Who. I just haven't been able to. But I feel like I've seen something very similar to the Crinoid before. I just can't like as a kid, I just can't
yeah,
fucking put my finger on it.
they can
But
be the
yeah,
kind of
it
thing
is.
that's like on PBS when you have the flu and you're just like, what did I just watch? Did that
Yeah.
really happen at
It
3
really
a.m.
is, yeah.
on a rerun kind of a thing?
Yeah. Instead of, watching Lawrence Welk or some shit, yeah, this is what you watch. Yeah, no, it's very, like, intense looking, honestly.
Hmm.
But, would make for some good tentacle porn.
Yeah. I mean, now yeah, now the Crinoid's like as big as a house. Like it's the size
It's
of the
huge.
mansion
It
now.
would make for some really good tentacle porn then.
Yeah.
I know.
The doctor gets a sword. Like we don't really know like quite the whys of it, but he just
Jake's probably just fucking has it in his house. Like,
suits of
it's not like
armor. There's probably
yeah,
like
like,
suits of armor
come
stuff
on,
just
you know how rich people are? They just have things.
I mean, hey, it's
They just have things in their homes.
he does say people are replaceable, Scorby. The Crinoid is unique. And I think he believes that. I think he's okay
I think
with
he does
that.
believe that.
And the Crinoid starts talking. This is a part where this is one of the parts of the series I don't like, is
It
then it
starts fucking
starts
talking, and
talking
it's so
and
weird.
it sounds like Frankenstein. So
No, it's a weird
you don't want to hear it.
it's a modulated this
Yeah.
awfully modulated voice.
And it's bribing the situation. The
I
Crinoids literally
remember
like,
not liking it.
deliver the doctor to us, your lives will be spared. And Scorby's like, sounds like a fair deal to me. And it's like, ah, damn it. Look,
Damn it.
why?
Damn
You
it.
know, Amelia's like talking to Colin, to Sir Colin, and she's basically like, we should invent like a code word. She's like, they like that. What about Mudhouse? And it's like she's eccentricing him like to death, and he's just kind of
Mudhouse.
rolling his eyes. But then she goes, she's like, our taxes pay for these wretched civil servants, and you can never get a hold of them when you need them. So
God
it's like
damn.
she's talking shit kind of
God
stuff,
damn.
and Chase is just outside doing photography. Like he's just walking around. Scorby throws a Molotov cocktail to like create a distraction. Aw,
He's Howard.
look at those whiskers. Jesus, that's
He's got
insane.
perp.
That's
Say
a
hi,
big cat.
Howard. It's a cat, yeah. Whenever I get too fed up with Ryan, I just show him cat videos.
Either that or we're going to talk about all the vegetation turning hostile
Yeah.
because there's
Well, again,
aggressive rhubarb.
it's not the happening. So
Oh, God. That's true. That is
I'm so happy it's not the happening. I'm very happy it's not the happening.
homicidal gooseberries. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, yeah. This is much better.
So it turns into like basically the plants are strangling all the gardeners, so all the hired help and so forth on the estate, they're just getting whacked out left and right.
Yeah.
And the best they have is like a laser defense system to zap
Hmm.
the crinoid. Harrison Chase is on the ground and he's making like kind of like snow angels, except it's just flora and fauna kind of thing.
He's
And
in it.
he's
He's
in like a
down in it.
trance, basically.
He
And here's
loves
your
plants.
tentacle stuff here is like the plants start breaking the windows and it's just these massive tentacle things just shooting
Imagine reaching
through.
in. It's like, oh, what the fuck? I didn't
Yeah.
plan for this.
Gorby, he's like, just like a bunch of women because all the guards have left, and drops that. And
Damn.
she's not having that,
Of
and
course not.
basically was like, what was that you just said about women? Just totally outdoing his scared dumbass. So
This alien is like trying to break into the house and kill everyone, but no, let's talk about our perspectives on women.
yeah.
Let's have this discourse real quick.
And Chase is literally like, this is their world. We're all parasites. So he can't stop. I mean,
I think I know what side this guy roots for.
he's how some of us feel about animals, and
Well,
in a
I mean,
way,
animals can be cute. Animals are
yeah.
cute. Plants are fun, but like,
Like
there is a balance. There's a
you can't be
balance.
angry at people for eating a salad. It's just not. It's not okay.
Doesn't make sense. I understand
No.
I understand animals more than plants.
Chase also calls people plant eaters. He's like, all plant eaters must die. So that's
So do you just like eat cows?
yeah.
What
Like
does he eat?
what is he consuming? It's got to
What
be
is,
animal.
does he eat? Because he
He w-
can't just like, because like he obviously doesn't eat plants because he's like, oh, plant animals die. But I'm like, do you just like eat small animals then? Are you like a Venus flytrap?
he's like
Eat bugs?
an opposite to vegetarian vegan where he's aggressively like for consuming animal
Carnivore?
meat. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
just they're like an aggressive carnivore. Yeah, guy. Yeah, we need the deleted scene where Chase is just like ripping up like this horse and just eating it. We need the deleted scene of that. I don't know where it would fit in, but we need it.
I mean, it sounds like a Hodorowski film, really. At that point, it's like,
Yeah,
what is
absolutely.
Holy Mountain?
What is
I
Holy
think
Mountain?
what
Yeah,
is Holy Mountain?
perfect movie.
So the doctor gets there with a bunch of weed killer. He's got like Roundup the way kind of napalm type action.
The things the rednecks have. Yeah,
Yep, yep. So yeah, he's just kind of spraying that everywhere to try to get the hell out of there. Corby's all stir crazy, so he's just going nuts. And he breaks. He just snaps, goes running, and he dies like in a 3-foot puddle. It's not like a lake that he drowns in. He dies in a puddle, like a shallow little shitty puddle, which is fitting for him because he's a bastard. So
he's
good for,
awful, awful character to watch.
yeah, yeah. And it's literally just like it's some rope with some plants attached to it. You can just tell it's just two people lifting that over top of him. So cheesy on that. Everybody's in the process of being saved, and
Yeah,
Chase is running around the grounds just being nuts. Now planes are finally going over,
full
and
manic.
the doctor unleashes like another huge blast of the plant killer. And the military is now bombing the Crinoid like it's rocket fire and everything else. They blow the Crinoid basically to bits. They have a good laugh back at the station. Sir Colin like debriefs everybody, and the Royal Horticulture Society got a hold of this affair. They'd want to speak to you at a meeting, and the doctor's
Yes.
like, "Yeah, I'm booked for the next 2 centuries." The end.
Don't fuck with it, don't fuck with it, don't bother.
Yep, that's it.
It's a great finale. It is a great, like, visual finale, I will say.
Yeah,
I
yeah, you,
loved, like, the I have to assume is a miniature of the mansion. I just love
yeah.
that it had, like, a plant basically, like, on top of it just, like, eating it, and it blew up. I was like, "Alright, if you wanna get me to watch something, just have a miniature get blown up. I'll be down."
It it works, and the artist that worked on the miniatures did a really great job
Yes.
through most of the Tom Baker years, and a lot of Doctor Who, to be fair. Like, there's just a lot of good talent with that, and that is, yeah, it sells the story even more than some of the, kinda cheesy moments.
Yeah. It's a fun one to watch. It's on BritBox
Yep,
with all the other classic Doctor Who stuff.
mhm.
Season 3 it's like the last serial of season 13.
Alright, we're on to recommendations. Parker,
Yeah,
you wanna
that's
go
yeah.
first? What did you pick?
What did you pick?
What'd you pick?
I picked something we watched together and that I nearly cried at. The People's Joker from I think it's 2022. I think it just finished its festival circuit. It's finally getting a physical release. Perfect movie. As someone who was, at one point was a comic book nerd and, figured out that they were trans, this is a good movie and perfectly represents what being trans is. And I will take no further questions. This is an amazing movie. Everyone needs to go watch it.
All the hype of a year to
The
2 year
hype is
plus,
so real.
it's actually complete. It's better than what
The hype
anybody
is
is
so real.
saying.
The hype is so real, and I love, like, because you don't need a lot of it's not of course, it's not officially with DC. It doesn't officially use any of its properties or anything like that. But I love the way it, like, used, like, different versions of, like, all these comic book characters and how to figuring out yourself. I loved it. I think it's perfect. Everyone needs to go watch it. Okay, thanks.
So good.
So good. So good. My next pick was just something I watched. I finally got my Blu-ray player working. I finally got it working. And I watched Sabrina from with Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart on my player with my roommate. And it's also a very fun movie. I was more focused in on it for its cinematography, and I liked, the way, like, the shadows, the light and the dark. This is one of those movies that, like, I hope never gets restored to color because it lives in the black and white and the way everyone is dressed, the way the sets are colored. It's just truly one of those really beautiful black and white movies. The only problem with it is, the Audrey Hepburn, age gap stuff because she's like in her 20s and then Bogart's late 50s, something like that. It's a big gap. But other than that, good movie. Would recommend. And
Excellent.
then finally, I have something I watched while I was packing. Fire and Ice from Ralph Bakshi.
Hell yeah.
Something I was not paying attention to, but I had a really fun time all because because like all of the actors in that are rotoscoped,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's like because I've seen one or two other Bakshi films. I think Wizards, which I showed
Mhm.
to some friends, and they really liked it. Fire and Ice, not quite as good as Wizards, but still something I was able to be pretty happy with. I was walked in on watching it, and my mother called it Disney.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, better than some of the, like, because it's sort of,
I
it
didn't, I
ties.
wasn't watching Fritz the Cat,
No, no, no.
so I didn't feel as bad. A little weird though.
It's a little
Uh,
risque.
yeah. If you need to see titties, this is the movie. But it was really fun, and I don't watch like like the fantasy stuff from the early 80s, like Sorceress. I don't watch that stuff a lot because I don't find myself buying into it.
Mhm.
But like if I just need something on in the background that'll just, kind of keep my brain quiet, give it to me. And if it's animation, fuck yeah, dude. I'll do it. So yeah, Fire and Ice. That's what I want. Those are my
God, the Frank
recs.
Frazetta inspiration stuff tied to that
Yeah.
movie is so neat.
Hmm.
But like you said, it's not for
Not for
Not for
kids
everyone.
necessarily. It's not the worst
No.
thing. It's not like heavy metal. It's not Fritz the Cat. It's not Coonskin. But it's not for kids. It's just, I mean, it's adult animation. Maybe like a teenager could watch it and be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, a little
But
more
yeah, what are your
appropriate.
picks?
So my first pick is Waxwork from
Oh,
1988,
yes.
which is great fun.
Yes, this movie.
I'm a sucker for David Warner in really anything. John
Mhm.
Rice Davies is also in it. Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks. He's fun in Twin Peaks. I don't know about this film. It was a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, for just a silly like Halloween light horror movie, I had a lot of fun with it. It's not terribly serious. David Warner
Mm-mm.
plays the kind of nefarious new homeowner, and it just wraps teenagers up into his kind of mischief. It's pretty gory. It's pretty violent. I was a
Ye
little surprised because I thought it would go light on all of those
I
elements, and
yeah, I watched it for Horror Gives Back last year, and I thought it would be a lot lighter than it was. Of course, my dog had just been admitted to the emergency room, I think, like, a day or 2 before, so, like, I was thinking about other things,
sure.
but, like, it was, like I mean, I remember, like I remember liking it for the most part.
Yeah, I think it hits, it's right in the middle for a lot of
The
fans.
sequel is not. The sequel is a bit weirder, but, like, it's still fine.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a try. The sequel interests me just enough
Yeah,
to
it's not
to
really a horror film. Not really a horror film
no.
necessarily, but it's fun.
And the second pick was a film called Black Moon from Louis Malle from 1975, and it is like fully delivered apocalyptic Alice in Wonderland with Joe Dallesandro. So that's always
Oh,
fun.
him.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
him.
Joe D.
That guy.
There's not a ton of dialogue in this movie, and it's
Okay.
really, I don't know that I can fully explain it well. Visually, it's beautiful. It's a Criterion title. Catherine Harrison is the lead in it, and she's most known for Robert Altman's Images. I think is probably where folks would know her. This is one with D'Alessandro that I actually felt like he has a little bit more, even though he's not speaking, he does a great job at his acting, and it felt as if Louis Mal knew how to use him properly because D'Alessandro can um I don't want to say there's just times where the director or he doesn't know what's kind of the best way to use his talent. This film
Yeah.
was not that way. This was not trite.
He's a hit or miss actor for sure, because as we know, he does really good in some movies, and then some movies he's kinda out of place.
Yeah. I mean, this felt a lot closer to the top end toward the margin.
I was gonna say,
It's
yeah, that's
that
one he's also, like, super good in, but, like, I mean, I hate to say it, but he's not that great in Flesh for Frankenstein. He's kind of a sore thumb
yeah. Yeah.
compared to, like, what else other things in that movie. He's a very, very, very sore thumb.
My last pick is a film I watched, I suppose, in 2019, 2020 when it came out.
Damn.
And I think it's one of the most wonderful, like, peculiar friendship love story type films. It's called Dogs Don't Wear Pants,
Well,
which
there's some truth
is
in that.
a strange title, but
It
visually,
is.
it's a remarkable film about a husband that loses his wife in an accident, and he's sort of coping and grasping all of processing that grief and so forth, and then meets someone who kind of helps to push him to the edge of resolving those things and sort of doing an about face from his kind of prior life forward. And
Hmm,
it think that it may be on it's on Shutter,
it is.
which is probably where most folks might come across it. And yeah, it's him meeting this kind of really strange dominatrix type person. Really, it's fascinating how their friendship develops, and I will say no more.
You're not a lot. You don't need to. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't think I'm not gonna make him elaborate on this because I'll probably watch it as well.
Yeah, it's really worth watching. There's one sequence of kind of dental horror
Oh,
that
gross.
that is a
Okay.
little challenging. Like it's not graphic, but it's inferred and so forth, and that's kind of
Oh,
a little rough.
great. Great.
The music is absolutely incredible as far as the sets, lighting, themes go. It's wonderful, and it appears very harsh and rough edged um,
Mhm.
from the exterior, and then as you get into watching the film, whatever your preconceived notions might be get completely pulled away, and you find this compelling, charming story that's being told. So yeah, it's one of
Damn it,
those
now I
like,
have to watch.
yeah,
Damn it.
yeah. Don't judge it by its cover. It's
I'm
very curious.
not!
No,
You
no.
have been, dude. I
I
would've
think
watched it
people.
even if it was just with the cover, dude. It's
Oh,
fine.
exactly. I mean,
It's
it's
fine,
pretty.
come on.
I think you'll love it. I think you'll find it very interesting.
Okay.
I hope there's
Okay.
more from this director as well. Yeah, we'll see. I think there's only one film that can be this type of movie. So good for him
Yeah.
making
Good
original
for
things.
him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Alright. Our next episode, we're going slightly mainstream. I know. It's awful. It's terrible.
Well,
Everyone's shitting their pants because we said that we're not just gonna pander to the underground. But that's okay because sometimes we have to be like actual human beings. So we're going to be talking about 1963's Charade, starring Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant. This is one of my favorite movies, period. I fell in love with it when I saw it in high school, and continue to love it. I'm excited to, get to dive in and talk about it because you know what? We're not a horror pod. You know what? We've stayed away from it, but we're not a horror podcast. We're not a cult movie podcast. We're none of that bullshit. We cover things we like.
passionately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only. I'm like, if it's something we like or something we think is worth talking about, it's fair game. That's it. That's it.
Charade.
So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you and talk about a little bit about classic Hollywood. And you can find the podcast on Instagram at Where Is My Mind Podcast. You can DM that account or one of us for a Discord link. So if you are so inclined, please join our Discord. We're fun. We're normal people. You can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd at parkit_BE. You can find Ryan on Letterboxd and Instagram at Ryan_BMD. And then we have a blog spot where we occasionally write and post things when we feel like it because we get bored sometimes. So, yeah. Next episode is Charade. Hopefully, we'll see you all soon. Bye.